Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this presentation about the state of cybersecurity in Europe business in 2025. The objective of this presentation is to introduce you the result of a survey we launched this year about the vision of your own business about the state of cybersecurity, but also the expectation about the markets. So just before moving to the survey, just a quick introduction of our company. It won't be long, I promise. So at Harfanglab, we're a specialist for protecting endpoints. So we protect more than 600 customers all around the world and almost 2 million endpoints, especially in Europe. And so how we do that, we propose 3 layers of protection. The first one is helping organizations to manage their vulnerabilities thanks to attack surface management. And the second is to help organizations protect their infrastructure thanks to our EPP, Endpoint Protection Platform, but also our EDR, Endpoint Detection and Response. I didn't take long, I didn't lie. So let's move on to the survey. And what we wanted to understand with this survey, because as you know, the threat level has changed a lot. And we wanted to understand what are the main cyber priorities of European business in 2025 and for the following years. And here you can find the big priorities for them. The first one is a strong need for independence. 70% say that EU companies are too dependent on foreign technologies, but also a strong need for trust. 69% were concerned about foreign surveillance. The third one is about performance. Of course, we all need a solution that protect us effectively against all new kind of threats, but also the ease of use. Why? Because you can have the best solution on the market that can protect you against 100% of every kind of threat. It doesn't exist, unfortunately, but let's imagine in a perfect world. If you can't handle the solution, your protection level will decrease and you will be vulnerable to new kind of attacks. And the last point is about proximity. So 77% of our responders say EU vendors better understand their security priorities. So what I propose today is just a quick summary about the threat landscape in Europe and where does Europe stand in this context. Then we'll see what are the main expectations from European business in this new context, and then I will expose our approach at Harfanglab to face these new issues. So across sectors and sizes, we observed that European business were quite worried about the threat level in Europe, with 40% of them saying that the threat level is extreme or severe. And the one single most feared impact with cyber attacks is the data leaks. Why? Because it impacts directly the trust of their providers, the trust of their clients, the trust of their partners. And what we observed at Harfanglab is that data leaks are linked to some new kinds of attacks and old kinds, like DDoS attacks, but also ransomware attacks. Why? Because in ransomware attacks, before ciphering your organizations, they begin by exfiltrate your data and then sell it or just exploit it in the darknet free of charge. And the new thing in the last 2 years is the use of AI. So of course, in 2024 and 2025, we have all adopted AI in our companies, but so did the attackers, and they adopted it by many ways. The first one, of course, is the use of AI, of generative AI, to generate phishing emails that are very convincing and very easily to do it. And the second thing we are beginning to observe at Harfanglab is the use of AI for more sophisticated attacks. So I can give you an example. We saw several cases of ransomware attacks where the attackers were using AI to monitor the network. Why did they do that? Basically, when the network activity was decreasing, it means that basically people are getting off of the office. And if employees are getting off of the office, so does your cybersecurity team, so does your analyst. And that's why they used AI to launch the payload to begin to cipher your infrastructure at the worst time with the higher impact possible. So now why control matters more than ever, maybe. First, because of the rise of threats. We saw at Harfanglab, but also around the world, a rise of attacks, but also a rise of cyber organized groups. And to give you numbers, maybe, we observed a rise of 11% of ransomware attacks between 2023 and 2024. And cybersecurity experts estimate that by 2031, we will have to deal with one ransomware attack every 2 seconds. But what has changed, and you have probably heard about it, is the geopolitical context, of course. First, because of military conflicts. We saw since the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, but also with the conflict between Israel and Iran and other parties. We observed a rise of attacks targeting Europe because we are supporting this side or the other. And it's not just about conflicts, military conflicts. It's also about our old allies, and I'm targeting at the United States. We need to understand in Europe that American does not stand by our side anymore. The commercial and tariff tensions that occur in the past few months also apply to cybersecurity, and the risk of a commercial war is real. So to give you a clear example, I don't know if you have heard about it, during the tough negotiation between the EU and the US, the EU considered the idea of taxing the American digital services, including cybersecurity services. For now, we're not here yet, but it's not over, and if it happened, it will lead to European companies paying higher because they use American digital services such as cybersecurity services. And the third point is the tolerance for opacity, which is decreasing a lot. Why? This is a direct consequence of these two previous points. Because the threats are rising, we cannot just trust our provider. Of course, if you ask your current provider if you're covered against this new kind of threat, they will say to you, don't worry, you're fine, you're 100% protected with us, don't worry. Okay, maybe, maybe not, and you must be in capacity to verify it by yourself. So that's why the old compromise, features now and control later, does not stand anymore. To face these new issues, you must ensure sovereignty. So I'm sure you have heard this term before. Maybe you have a definition of your own. So I'll let you giving your own definition, and then we will compare with our own. Don't be shy, we won't bite. No? No one? That's okay. There are a lot of definitions of sovereignty, but at Harfanglab, we prefer the one that is more strategical and operational. For us, sovereignty is not just a matter of flag, it's not just a matter of made in Europe. For us, ensuring sovereignty is respecting these four main principles. The first one, of course, is data control. So, as you know it, cybersecurity solutions are deeply intrusive. They have access to all your most sensitive data, your most critical data, stored in your laptop, stored in your servers. And you must be in capacity to determine, okay, what kind of data does the editor have access to, and what kind of data does it send to its servers. You also be in capacity to change what kind of data is sent if you estimate that it's too critical to let the editor access it. The second thing is the need of transparency. So this is a direct response to the tolerance of opacity, which is decreasing. When an editor say, okay, you're covered against this kind of threat, you must be in capacity to verify it directly in the solution. You need to know against what kind of threat you're protected, and also how does the solution protect it against this new threat. Third point is about jurisdiction. Operational and support teams must be submitted to EU regulations that also respect your data and not submitted to American one. And last one is about portability. So portability basically is the ability to integrate and to migrate the solutions easily in your environment. So today, if I say to you, okay, your current cybersecurity provider increased its tariff by 30, 40, 50%, will you be able to negotiate with him? Will you be able to change the solution easily without wasting too much time? So all these questions are there to avoid you being locked in with one single editor. Because we think at Harfanglab that being sovereign is also having the possibility to change your current editor. So how do these main principles translate in a more operational way, and what buyers demand now to respect them? The first thing they demand is transparency. So as we said before, you must be in a capacity to know where your data are hosted, who can have access to it, and if they have access to it, is the access logged? Can you know who had access to your data? The second point is having an on-premises option. Why? Because we have a lot of customers that have a specific perimeter that cannot be connected to the internet for a lot of reasons. It can be for policy reason, it can be for security reason. And you must be in capacity to protect this perimeter as well with the same level of protection and features for the rest of the perimeter. Third one is, local support. So as we saw in the survey, EU supports team better understand EU business needs and are more reactive due to geographical proximity, but also because of the office hour. In Europe, we are quite close, so it's easier to respond to your needs. First one is about auditability. Why? Because when you invest in a solution, your decision maker will say, okay, well, I invested a lot of money in the solution. Now I need to know what is my return over invest, and if the solution protects effectively my business. So that's why the solution must provide you reports, must provide you dashboard that will help you convince your decision maker that it is a good one. Fifth one is about interoperability. So basically, it's a direct response for portability need. So behind that, in a more operational way, it means having a solution that exposes its API using 100% of the solution features, but also having connectors with your current solutions that will help you deploy the solution easily and not being locked in with a single vendor. And the last one is more in a strategical way. Because when you choose a cybersecurity provider, you're also signing with a partner. And when you sign with a partner, you must be sure that you share the same long-term ambitions for resilience in Europe. But buyers do not only demand sovereignty, they also demand for performance. And here on the left, you can find 4 main criteria to determine if the solution protects you effectively. The first one is the TTD or the TTR, the mean time to detect or to respond. And basically, it's an indicator to say, okay, on average, how much time will I need for the solution, but also for the analyst that use the solution to detect the breach, to detect an attack, and how much time will I need to answer this attack and to take remediation measures. The second point is about the footprint. So you can have the best solution on the market that protects, again, 100% of every kind of attacks. If it consumes 90% of our resources, by resources I mean memory, I mean CPU, I mean storage, you cannot afford it, of course. So cybersecurity is also about finding balance between protection level and business continuity. The third point is the false positive rate. So basically, this is something we care a lot at Harfanglab because one of the main things you will encounter if you meet your security teams and you say, okay, what are your main pain points? They will answer to you, we need to deal with too many alerts, we are getting overwhelmed, we cannot manage it. And the risk of dealing with excessive alerts is that you can miss the real one, the one that is triggering because of an attack, and it will lead to a too late managing the vulnerabilities. But there is also another risk, which is more a human resource risk, because imagine you're behind your desk, you're dealing with hundreds of alerts every day and every day. There is a risk, which is real for the company, to lose its employee. And the last one is upgrade impact. So this is not the first thing we think about when we're thinking about performance for cybersecurity. But imagine you have the best solution in the market, but the process to upgrade it is very heavy. For example, you need to reboot your servers every time at each update. The risk behind that is that progressively you will stop doing the upgrades. Why? Because your operational teams are overwhelmed, it's difficult, it will stop the business. And the direct consequence to that is that progressively the protection level will decrease and your exposure will increase. On the right of the screen, you can see the result of the MITRE test, which is basically an independent test that occurs every year. The goal of the test is to evaluate EDR performance based on detection and protection. And what we wanted to show you today is that some European alternatives exist that can compete with the American in terms of detection, in terms of remediation, and they can also provide you sovereignty. So what is our approach at Harfanglab to protect you against these new issues? So our stance at Harfanglab is that the solution architecture must adapt to your risk and to your needs, and not the opposite. You should be able to choose your hosting solution without any feature compromise. So the first option, of course, is cloud hosting. So this is something we meet the most in the market. It remains an option. It remains an option only if it respects these three main principles. Indeed, when you're choosing a European solution, cloud hosted, you need to make sure that the partner of the provider that hosts the solution also is European, also is fully compliant with EU regulation, also hosts your data in Europe, etc. Second thing is about 100% local technology. Behind that, what I mean is no hidden dependencies. You will meet a lot of solutions on the market, especially in the cybersecurity that use AI, of course. But if behind this AI is just being connected to ChatGPT or to OpenAI, you're not fully sovereign. Why? Because if tomorrow OpenAI chooses to close its flux towards Europe, the solution won't work anymore, or at least in a more depreciated mode. Last one is fully transparency. So you notice how much important is it for us. You must know where your data is hosted, who can access it, and how it's protected. By how it's protected, I mean, of course, against threat, cyber threat, but also global threat. For example, you must be sure that the solution ensures high availability, but also high continuity. But one thing we noticed in this survey was only 19% report having full control when having a cloud hosting solution. So that means 81% of them does not think that. And that matches what we observed at Harfanglab during the past few years, which is the on-premises comeback. On-premises enables a lot of things, a lot of advantages, such as the total data control. So of course, because the solution runs entirely in your own infrastructure, data never leaves it, and so you're totally controlling your own data. Second point, it enables you to protect your isolated environment. So as I was saying before, we have a lot of customers that have protected environments or restricted one that cannot have access to the internet. And so basically, you must be in capacity to protect it with the same level of features and the same level of the protection. And last point, of course, by how it is designed, on-premises enables you to be regulation ready for current regulation, but also for future one. It could be for general regulations, such as the GDPR or Cloud Act, Resilience Act, but also for more specific one. For example, in several sectors, such as finance, you can be submitted to some kind of regulations, such as PCI DSS, and on-premise can help you achieve this certification. So now I just wanted to show you a quick feedback of one of our customer, which is one of the biggest bank in EU. So they wanted to protect their Linux servers, so they launched an RFP, and we are competing directly with the American giants. And the test was quite long, actually, around 9 months, with 3 months of POC and 6 months of pre-production. Why did it take so much time? Because they didn't trust us when we said to them, we have the same level of features and the same level of protection in on-premises environments or cloud hosting. And they were saying, okay, well, if you say so, please deploy 2 consoles, one in the cloud, one on premises in our own infrastructure, so we can compare. So that's what they did. And they compare a lot of things. And what they made choose Harfanglab was a lot of criteria. But of course, the first one was the possibility to deploy on premises. The second one is proximity. With an EU-based support, we're quite reactive, responding to their questions, but we also can go in their own office to fix some technical issues. They also was quite aware about the detection, so they made a lot of tests, pen test, red team test, etc. And they observed what I showed you before on the slide, the same level of protection, of detection and protection than the American giants. And finally, one thing they enjoyed a lot with Harfanglab was the possibility to change their existing solution. They had an old EDR before, without having to change too much things in their SOC. Why? Because they had a lot of workflows for SOC analysts, for cybersecurity experts. And because the solution is open by design and fully transparent, they could deploy it without changing too much process, too much detection, etc. So now just a quick summary of what we discussed today. So basically, this is a decision checklist that can help you when you will have to choose your next solution. It will help you to determine if the solution you're studying is really helping you to increase your resilience and your sovereignty. So you will have something for data control, you have something for portability, you will have something for compliance, and you will have something for trust. So now I just wanted to give you some perspectives for the following years for the market. So from the editor perspective, our responsibility is to keeping innovating, keeping developing solutions that ensure trust, that ensure security, but also to be able to consult the market, to consult European business to know what they need. And that was also the goal of this survey, to know what are your needs, your current needs, but also your future one. And from the market perspective, it's a common responsibility, both for the private market, but also for the public market, to increase their own resilience, their own European resilience, by keeping investing in solutions that increase their control, that increase their protection. And what we hope for the following years is that these investments will lead to creating new European cybersecurity champions. Thank you, everyone. Don't hesitate if you have any question, and you can also find us at the booth.